Let's see what happens here. So yeah, we'll just bullshit a little bit here. That's good. Look at that, it went up. Perfect. I'm gonna wait till exactly 7, and then.
All right. It says Lord Gazum and guest will be right back.
You like that?
Yes.
Isn't that awesome?
Yep.
I love this program. You can do so much with it, man. It's easy to use. You just cut and paste stuff in. So, yeah, and we'll see. I'll actually be able to see if we got people watching or not. We probably won't have anyone. I mean, I just did this so short notice. So, hey, Mark, how are you, man? I'm so
Good,
glad you
Jay.
could call in. This is like an inaugural chat session. I want to try to have a lot of my friends and some people in the industry just to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and the game we've been playing for, it seems like, ages now, man. It's like it's 35 years old. What year do you think you started with me? Like 81, 82, maybe?
It was probably close to like 83. I want to
Okay.
say is
Because you
when.
were a little bit younger than the rest of us. I know
Yeah.
you lived next. Mark and my friend Tim and my friend Walt all lived on the same block mostly. We
Yeah,
were a
for
little
the
bit
most part.
younger. You lived on Sylvan. One lived on 10th, and one lived in Haddon Heights. So, but I'm glad you were able to get some time free. I wanted to just talk about some things. I thought Thursday went well. I thought that your
Yeah, very
Skyping
well.
in was great. I mean that works real well. You got the cameras that are running in 1080 looks so much better than when the FaceTime. I mean, it had to be better for you. And just be
Oh,
able to
it's
move stuff in and
tons
out.
better.
All right, that's
Way,
good.
way better.
That's good. And you're gonna be here in a
Yeah,
couple weeks, man. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have some fun doing that too. I'm really looking
absolutely.
forward. I'm really looking forward to that. Everyone's picking the characters they want to run now. Of course, you got some of our guys that have changed 8 times already, and Alan's trying to squeeze in. Of course, Alan's trying to squeeze in a third. I said, what did I say? The level limit was 12, so then I had to say under 12 because of course, he had to abuse it. He wanted Herbie, who's 13th, and then he's talking about Zizix, who's that archer mage. I was like, oh, man, come
He
on.
just wants Herbie just so that he can have the excuse of beating you in the face with a pillow again.
Yeah, probably. But then if I give in to him, then I got to give in to everyone else. So
Well,
first
then
off,
you end up with Britomart and Lena and
ex-
Schlemmen and all.
yes, yeah, and Sam, and it turns
Yeah.
out to be a free for all. So we don't want that, man. We're gonna have a little bit of a balance to it. I got some surprises though for this. I have a huge surprise for one of our players. And
Okay.
it's not you. A huge surprise. It probably will drive him crazy, but that's okay. That's what I like to do, right? So
Of course.
tell me a little bit about your group. I know you're DMing yourself out there in Ohio. I won't say
Yeah.
where, but you have a group in Ohio, and I hear that's going real well. Just tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it actually started with a bunch of people at work that they're all tabletop gamers, and I'm on a project with one of them, and we were talking about. I found out he was a Magic player, and I
Cool.
was like, "Oh, really?" I said, "You happen to play Dungeons and Dragons as well?" And he said, "No." He says, "We tried playing once, and we had somebody that was trying to run it, and they were running it in what ended up being 3.5 rules." And
Ugh.
they weren't real experienced with it, so they didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, God," I said, "I've been playing for close to 40 years now, and I've been DMing on and off during all that time." I said, "Do you think we'd get any interest if we started up with something?" And it's actually grown. I now actually have 8 different players.
8.
Uh,
Wow.
I got a new guy that's actually starting tomorrow because we play on Monday nights. Um, and I just started them off with my classic 3 that I always do.
Which
The Sword
are?
of Justice. No. Sword of Justice out of Dragon 92,
Yeah.
Citadel by the Sea, and the Chapel of Silence.
So
Four
one of
three.
my 3 that I use, we cross over on, and that is Citadel by the Sea.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great adventure.
Oh, it's fantastic when it's run properly.
And to even give a little plug for Gen Con. So I'm going to Gen Con this year
Oh,
with this same group and a couple of other guys. Yeah, I know, bucket list, and
you
I
really
know
are
it's neat.
going. You got
I
hotel
really
and
am going.
everything. When is it? August.
It's August, I think, like
9th.
3rd through 6th.
See, I'm on
Something.
vacation the week after, down the shore, and I think my wife would kill me if I went there first. It just wouldn't work. I mean, my gosh, because I'd have a whole group to hang out with.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to go. I mean, yeah,
So let me tell you
definitely.
something. If you actually go and you sign up, There is somebody there that runs Citadel by the Sea.
Really?
I kid you not.
It's
There's
not.
all sorts of first and second edition games that go on. So if I have the time while I'm there, because I'm going to be there Friday night through all day Sunday.
Right.
If I have the time while I'm there, I'm going to see if I can pick up on a couple
So
of
it's
games.
like the
there.
week before I go on vacation. Maybe not. I have to take a look. I forget, but I.
Do it. If you can swing it, swing
Wow.
it. All you got to do is just come out here. You can travel out with us.
Man, that would be awesome. I'd love, that would be fantastic. Because normally the deal is when I want to go, there's no one that I would know. I'd be going solo, but that's okay. I mean, I'll get there. I'll get there eventually, but I need to do it, man.
These guys go every year, and they ask me. So
group of 8, they all run one character, and you have a character in the group, so you run a 9.
Yeah, well, actually, so up until tomorrow, it's been 7, and that various at times. So everybody has rolled up 2 characters like we traditionally do.
Right.
Giving them a little bit of understanding about the gameplay and so forth. I mean, some of them have been a little bit more difficult, just simply because of the crossover with some of the stuff I know that you do. So I borrowed, obviously, a couple of things, but
that's no problem.
But generally speaking,
that's your dog. No.
Yes,
that's okay. No problem.
But generally speaking, it's for the most part very similar to what we run on Thursday nights. It's a little bit of a hybrid. I'm taking it obviously really slow with them to get them understanding about like combat and things like that.
Right.
They were a little ticked because I tricked them into a situation where they were going after what they thought was a high priest of Pelor's ashes, and they didn't end up finding the ashes. In fact, they got scared out of the crypt that they were in, and when they came out, they got faced with 20 orcs and the leader from the Citadel by the Sea that got away with
holding Alkarg, the Elf Slayer. Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, and, so they did not get Alkarg in yours.
No. And the funny part was they had a half orc in that adventure that had overtaken it and was getting ready to kill him, and they managed to get him knocked out or something. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then they were given there's one player, she plays just a straight drow thief, and she was hiding in shadows, and the guy Surga, I think his name is, he was trying to run away, spear, and she was hiding right by the entrance and contemplated actually trying to trip him on the way out and chickened out. And so everybody was giving her grief about it for like weeks.
Simple decisions. Split-second decisions, just like in real life, make the difference a lot of times.
Absolutely. Like the decisions make. And so at the end, when they came out, one of them actually took a chance, and he had a charm person spell and used it on Surga, and I rolled a 2. Right in front of everybody, so, And they convinced him to give up the spear, and that it would be nice to take a bath in some boiling oil. And they ended up killing him, so.
Nice.
But they were kind of ticked because they weren't allowed to do any kind of, they literally walked out of the crypt, and I didn't allow them to do any planning between each other. I'm like, no, you're here. This is part of the game. You gotta understand that you just can't sit, and there's game time, and there's time that you can spend actually coordinating efforts. And I said, you're not given that time right now, and they ended up doing really well. So
well, that's fantastic, man. I mean, you know how it is when you start off with new players. I mean, you're gonna sometimes, I don't know about your group, but you lose guys, and you have guys filtering in and out like we've had over the years. And we've been static 20 years now at least with the same group since it's been a long time. But those early groups, I mean, think of all the people that we had running in and out back in the college days, man. You had some crazy bad players and some goofs, and you had some good players you wish had stuck around, and some very entertaining people. But people have real life. Sleepy. That's enough. Yeah. He'd get the joke 5 minutes late every time. So, but I'm glad to hear your game's going well. That's fantastic. Did anyone call it? Does anyone call in, or is it just all?
No. The guy that actually hosts it, he's kind of central to where everybody is at, and we meet after work. And most of it's all work people. So we just end up meeting at his place, and and we don't do it for very long. I mean, we're usually from about 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, so it doesn't take the adventures take a little bit longer because I'm just introducing them to stuff and getting them used to like combat and role play and those types of things.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. I mean, you got to really introduce them to it. I mean, one thing with our Thursday night broadcast, people are like, "Where's the RP? Where's the RP?" And I said, "Well, the RP was early, and then it turns almost into a tabletop game with us, in the combat area." And I've noticed, I've watched a lot of where everyone calls in. There's a lot more RP in those, but but it seems like they get a lot. I mean, I'm not, begrudging how anyone plays. I'd never do that, but it seems that it takes them a lot longer to to get, like, you're talking about one or two scenes where we try and get an entire campaign done, or I'm sorry, an adventure done in a night or two, but I just, our style is probably pretty unique. And you guys have that table you're using, right, where you look down upon on the video. Yeah, so maybe down the road you could get a good, nice picture of that for me, just really nice, and send it. And someone's ringing my front doorbell. I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna block out 1 sec. That's okay. Sorry about that. My son just came home, and my wife is in the taking a bath. So, okay. Sorry about that. So, tell me about what you're going to do in helping me getting our stuff digitized.
So, part of this group, a lot of them were all IS folk. And so one of the things that we're intending on doing is we're putting together kind of a pretty big pet project about trying to have a web-based interface so that you can call up things like spells or character classes, or whatever the case may be. It's just
right.
It's it's just designed to make things a little bit easier. And I think that, and this kind of goes into our kind of gameplay versus new people that you bring along. So we grew up, we had all the appropriate books in first edition, and you spent countless number of hours just going through them, perusing them, and playing for so long that the rules just become second nature to you.
Right.
It's
well. Like, you still don't know how long a prayer lasts.
Well, I mean, we can't figure out like the length of time for a prayer spell still, but
Yeah.
But I mean, part of what makes us, I think, a lot different than most is because we're so used to interacting with each other, knowing what the rule bases are, and so forth. Well, but you have new groups that come along, and especially when you got into like third and fourth and fifth editions, you have people that wanted to develop more digital types of interfaces. They want to do things with apps on their phone or through the web or whatever the case may be. And I said, I've looked for dozens, if not hundreds of hours online just to see who actually has any of this kind of stuff in first edition. Nobody does. Is basically caught on from like version 3 and on, and you can find plenty
D20,
of
right? D20
media,
is a big
or
one.
D20 type rules.
That's
plenty of that kind of stuff online, but you can't find anything for first edition. So I basically asked and said, hey, look, this has been always kind of a pet project that I've always wanted to accomplish. What would you guys consider doing? And fortunately, I happen to have one of my buddies that plays is a top-notch web developer. Another one is just really great at data design and data formatting. I've got other people that are really, really great at doing database design. And then, I'm bringing obviously all the content and the knowledge about what it is that we're really looking to do. So it's pretty slick. We actually have some of the database design already thought about. We have a a site that we're going to be using, and then obviously, when it comes down to that, we're going to need some testers. I'm obviously going to be contacting you to get into the mix,
Right.
and then the big thing will be is just making sure that we have all the appropriate content that we want to do.
Right.
Probably something to the degree of when we get to the spells database. I know that we use, some of the D20 like Sword and Sorcery books and so forth that we augment our stuff with.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
getting all of those things actually imported in, and then just checking off spells that are part of what it is that we use as well as part of what we don't use.
We tried it. Yeah, we tried back in I don't know, 15 years ago with Access to do this, and it just was tedious.
Oh yeah.
And John helped. One of our players, he helped, but it just didn't get anywhere. There's so many variables on spells and descriptions, and it's just and.
And the technology back then didn't really support it.
Yeah,
the technology today, using stuff like PowerShell, using regular expression, database design has come a long way, and data modeling, honestly, and just to give a brief understanding about it, what it basically becomes is you have all of your master tables that you would do, like classes and so forth, and then you have like cross-functional tables that work independently. That rely upon the primary and foreign keys of each of those actual tables to build something in between. So then you can mix race and class and spells and and everything else that goes with it.
Definitely beyond my level of expertise, man. So.
That's okay. That's all right. I mean, I've done IT work, my entire career, and for the most part, and it just comes a little bit more natural for some than others. No big deal. It's going to take a little while, obviously. I mean, it's a huge project, but the good news is I got a lot of people that do a lot of different things that they can bring to the table.
Think about this: mage, illusionist, necromancer, all the elementalists, cleric, 30 different specialty priests.
Yeah.
Druid, avenger. I mean, it goes on and on. And now all the knights and all the rangers and they all get spells now, I mean, that alone's Herculean to do, so.
Yep.
But I guess you have to start somewhere on this.
Yeah.
Which is good because it would make things a little bit easier for some people, down the road. Just how much of a me, I was always paranoid about trade secrets, and but I think I'm okay now. I think that's well beyond my worries at this point. If I'm doing this, so That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear the game's going well, and I'm glad to hear that you're having fun with a new group up there, and you're still playing with us on Thursday, and your wife doesn't mind. That's good, all the time. So
yeah, actually, it's kind of funny. Yesterday. There's a local gaming shop that was here and never seen it. It had moved from another place and went in there, and they're actually going to start carrying some old stuff. I was talking to the guy about it, and he said that he actually has some old stuff that he's going to put on shelves, and he knows a lot of gaming shops when they do that. They have purists like us that come in and snatch this kind of stuff up. So
yeah, you could call it a purist, man. I mean, but we added a lot of stuff, particularly from the Relics and Rituals books that they brought out. They were fantastic, and we've run off game. Adventures. I mean, Fortress Elendar is an off-game adventure, and look at that. I got my hand over here, and I'll explain this in a minute. You're gonna get a kick out of this. Another one would be Dark Tower was fantastic. I don't know if you ran that one or not, with all the set people. Remember, Tim did part of it. You ran it with Tim. Remember, and it went till like 4 or 5 in the morning that night, and that was when you were young. And Tim ran it for Gazumba, Hawk and Gazumba, and that crew, and Fensick and Leuven. I got to talk. That was probably 83, 84 that he ran that. And then I was like, this is fantastic. It was just so detailed, and there were so many different variables involved in it. But he burned. I mean, I ran that. It took like months. There's some good adventures like that. But so you see my walls up right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Got my wall up. I know some of them bring back some memories. I'm going to use this. I'm going to put something up, and I want you to, the first thing that comes to your mind, I want you just to say what you think, okay? You ready?
Sure.
Here we go. Whoops! It fell. It died.
It comes to my mind was Super Stumpy.
Exactly. Why don't you explain that story?
Okay, so years back when I was still in high school and playing, Jay and I used to go down to Glassboro. It was known as Glassboro State College at the time, and visit with Gary and Walt. And this had just come out. I mean, T1 through T4 was I mean, Village of Hamlet was something that I'd been through before, but
and it
this
come
was
out
like the first
8 years before or something like that,
Yeah.
and it was like, wow, this is a great game setting. When's the next one coming out? And
Right.
it didn't come out till we were like, older. 85,
Yeah.
86 this came out.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, I distinctly remember one of my my main characters that we actually have that's in the campaign now, who's actually a king.
He's an oligarch.
Yeah. He
and that's who the adventure's about in June.
Yeah.
So, yep.
He ended up, we were fighting a bunch of ghouls. And at that point in time, before we came out with proficiencies of two-fisted fighting, everybody always fought with two weapons. It was just kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And we were using our own base critical hit and fumble tables. And we were sitting there fighting, and he's fighting with two hammers, kind of like John Henry. And he ended up getting critically hit, and he lost his, I think, his primary arm at the elbow.
First.
And then went on to a few more rounds, and then he lost the primary arm at the shoulder, and still made a system shock roll for it, and kept fighting, and then finally got critically hit again and lost the other arm at the shoulder. So he absolutely was walking around with no arms, kind of like the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So he just inherited the name Super Stumpy.
That was dead on to the memory that I was thinking about. Also, the secondary one would be when we went down to your
my sister's place, yeah,
and finished this, and
yes,
that was the summer of '87, I believe.
Yeah, that was before I left for Ohio.
We went down and finished this module there in Fairfax, Virginia. We ran 3 adventures that weekend, and it was you, me, Tom, Walt, Tim.
That was it.
That was it, and that's who we finished it with. And we did 3 adventures. We did this. We finished this up finally because we're down on the 4th level, Flodzogtamui, and all the denizens of that. And then the second thing we did was Tim ran that adventure where everyone died in the second round except for Gazumba and Fensik, who regenerated because he did these 2 illusions of heads of dragons and yeah. Typical Tim DMing adventure, right? And then the third thing we did that weekend in '87 was we did the founding of the city of Altamira. It was just called the Cavalier Schoolgrounds.
Yep.
And Tim's character Murdoch had his arm out and leg out, and Makarash cut his right arm and left leg off in one swing.
Yep.
So that was the memories from that time. So good one.
And if I remember correctly too, I had my character Jeanette
Farman, yeah.
Yeah, that went around and was backstabbing. She was a 17th level thief, and she was going around and backstabbing, and really, to a degree, inflicting quite an awful lot of damage and getting rid of stuff. And in the end, there was, I think it was that adventure, but there was a ring of regeneration. And I specifically remember that you gave me a +10 modifier because of what it is that I actually did.
And you rolled a 1.
No. I rolled a 20, which equated to 30. And Tim rolled a 30 for Murdoch. And we had to re-roll. And you wouldn't give me the +10 modifier. You did it straight up.
Yeah.
And he beat me out. And it pissed me off to no end.
Hey, that's what
he really didn't do anything
for.
that whole adventure, and he walks away with the ring of regeneration.
That's what happened with Tim, right? Tim always, Tim always ended up with the golden tickets. So
yeah, and it got wasted because he didn't play as often.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, here we go.
Well, I would say in recent memory, I don't remember this as much, but more recent memory, a different group that says, "Oh, we took care of it easily. We just burned down the castle."
Yes, at that D&D store down the shore in Wildwood, whatever the name of that
Yes.
place was. Yeah, we didn't want to fight Strahd at all. We just burned the whole castle down.
Yeah.
You burned a stone castle? How do you? I was like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Now, piece of information. So the guy I was talking to yesterday, if you go and look at some of the fifth edition stuff that's out there, they redid the whole area for Ravenloft in
Really?
fifth edition. Yeah. So it's not just the castle. I mean, he was explaining it, and I didn't remember.
Is it a demi-plane again? Is it a demi-plane again, or is it?
Yeah, but I mean, it describes like the castle is like the last thing. It's like you join up. It's kind of like Temple of Elemental Evil. You start off at first level.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
like things that you go and do, and then eventually you get to the castle, and
That would
you're
be fun.
around like 9th or 10th. So
Hey, at least they're making an effort.
yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely.
So
Well, and he even showed me there's another book that they did. I swear to God, it's yay thick. It's about 2 inches thick. It's called Into the Borderlands. So they redid
Keep on
Keep of the Borderlands in 5th edition. And it has all the original artwork and everything.
I saw one of the guys on Cannon Fire had it, and he posted it. So that's cool. I mean, that they're redoing some stuff. But, I mean, come on, man. You know, there should be some new content, too, you know. But it's good. It's good that they're starting somewhere. Because a lot of people are complaining there's nothing for Greyhawk in 5th edition. I said, you don't need anything new, man. There's so much stuff out there.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff that I can't get through it in a lifetime, man. You know? But I guess I understand. For the newer player, you know, you can't go out and buy a Marklands or Is the Evil book for under $100, you know?
Right.
So I can understand where that would be a problem. But so the other is, getting back to Ravenloft, the other memory is Bill Reese's character, Zeno, with Tim. And so Tim hated him. And so
was that the Cauldron?
yeah. So
Okay, I forgot that was in Ravenloft.
yeah, so the pot. So Galilad, Tim's paladin said to Bill Reese's character, Zeno, stay here and watch this guy stirring this pot of gruel or something. And he goes, okay. And the rest of the party left him there. And then he's standing there, and then a wandering monster came, which was a banshee, and screamed, and he fell and died. So another real fun memory from back in those times.
Yep.
So all right, this one is gonna get you the most laughs. Ready?
Enemy. Oh, the Sahuagin priest, or Sahuagin king, or prince, Sahuagin prince. Now, the funny part is, I was never there for that.
Okay, you were not there.
I had already left for Ohio by that point.
Okay.
But that is where we enacted it was,
Wayne rule.
I guess, more put into stone the enactment of the Wayne rule, which meant you went to every single room, no matter what it was, and you uncovered it, just like a regular, RPG online nowadays.
Yep. So
Bad.
So the story behind this one was they had thought they had finished the adventure, and Wayne must have gotten it and read through it, and so he said, well, we missed the six-armed Sahuagin prince. We got to go here. Everyone looked at him like, what the hell are you talking about? So the rest of the group went, and then Garnett's character got killed off permanently, got eaten by a shark or something. And he was, so that was typical back in the day. But, yeah, that was a funny one. So some of these other ones, if you notice, okay, so on my wall, some of these I didn't pull out. But here's this one down in the lower row, the Forgotten Temple of Tharisden. How about that one?
So I had probably what I would say obviously is my favorite character, Swain.
We'll talk about him in a second too with the tower.
Yeah. The two pictures of the tower down there, his actual tower that he had commissioned. He was in that adventure, and there were a few others that were in it too, and Swain was well known to have a very low constitution, but his other stats were some were higher than others. And at any rate, if I remember correctly, because it's been so long since we did it, but there's like fruit or something you eat at the end that you can eat it, and you have to make a saving throw versus your constitution.
If your class was the right one you were pulling. Now, you were a fighter cleric mage, but you think you pulled the wrong one the first time. You pulled the dex one, I think.
Yeah, something.
And your con was like 8 or something.
Yep.
Right.
And I kept making the appropriate rolls that I needed to.
You made a con roll, and then the second one you had to pull if you were going to go. You pulled the Constitution one after that because you had to pull the second one. You had to make an inverse con roll,
Right.
And you did. So you got the con point, and then Bill Reese's character again, Zeno, pulled the right one, and he failed his con roll, and he got turned to dust. And so for all these years, Wayne made a little cartoon. I wish I had it. A picture of a pile of dust with two eyeballs.
Nope.
You did that?
I did that.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the letters that I had written back to Wayne.
Okay.
I had done that. Yeah. It looked like a pile of dust with two eyeballs on it, with the caption just said, "Maybe somebody will wish me back."
Right, exactly.
Neat.
And then 25 years later, just last year, I brought him back in an adventure, and he went to backstab Alan's character Milan. He lasted a round and a half, and he got slaughtered. He was working for an evil lord. So yeah, that was a real hysterically funny one. I'm trying to look and see if there's any others that piqued my memory here. Ravager of Time was a nasty adventure.
Oh, that was a tough adventure. I remember that. That was like one of the only adventures that I knew of where you actually used out of the DMG. There's the whole age and how it affects all of your stats.
Absolutely.
And it was like one of those little known rules that goes into play because, obviously you play for many years and there's so many years, like elves, for instance, they never get out of the mature state or the old state. I mean, you just don't, I mean, how many game years have we done now? 50?
Yeah, we're in 635. So if you convert that back to, like, when I did this war, the Keelandish War with the Sea Princes, that was around 581 through 585. So 583 was the peak of it. And the Order of Yoke was founded in 583 in the game world, But we were playing that in 1981. So, yeah, I mean, you're talking
50 plus years of game time. Well, think about that. 50 plus years to an elf is nothing. So
it's nothing.
You don't get to experience really any of those crossovers, and that was kind of a neat adventure. I always, actually, Swain had not Kulara's. What the heck was her name? At Ravager of Time.
Oh my gosh! You know what? I forget. See, now I'm losing my mind. But she had the +5 scale mail.
Yep.
Right.
He actually had that as part of his.
That's a great cover. And that was when the first time the UK ones came out, which was the Sentinel, the Gauntlet, When a Star Falls, and that one.
That was good too.
What's that?
That was a great adventure too.
Yeah, Sentinel and the Gauntlet was a good one too. I didn't have any fun memories of that. I don't think that didn't make the wall up top. I mean, there's a couple missing from there, but like in particular, this one is missing from there. But I use it as my Bible for Drow.
Yep.
Right, and that's why it's not up there, and that's the only copy I have in monochrome. And that's just but that should be on the wall. But some of the memories that they go back years on that, and I won't put this one up permanently, but there you go, the G series.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
so let me reverse this. Let me give you a couple of adventures, and you share your fondest memories.
Awesome.
Egg of the Phoenix.
That's up on the wall. Boy, that was some adventure. I mean, that was an RPGA adventure that I ran one time, and we went through it, and you went through back in time to the prehistoric era, and it was a long and tedious adventure. And at the very end, you're on the Plain of Sepulchre, and you destroy the main foe, and the whole demi-plane dissolves, and you need to make one saving throw or you're gone permanently. And two people failed. Gary's character Clanthos and Alan's character
Cleric.
and Alan's character
that was
Aragorn.
Angel.
It was was it Angel, or was it? I think Clanthos is the one that got killed, but he still had Angel. Right. Yeah, and then Aragorn, of course, Alan very unique on the names. He got killed on that one. But the details of that adventure, I remember early on, prep got burned in the oil and had like it got put down to one communist, the dwarf. He was like roasted in that burning oil for so
Yep.
long. He had
Yep.
horrible scars from it, but that one has my memory has faded on it a lot. Unlike Ravenloft and Ravenloft 2, I know you didn't run Ravenloft 2, but there were some unbelievable adventures. But another like one up top there that is one of my favorites of all time. I love The Secret of Bonehill. I just love it's almost it's a mini campaign setting, just like the Keep on the Borderlands is. There's stuff going on all around in that area. I love that one too.
I've
That's
actually considered doing that one for my group.
I would.
I have, but
You got so many other sub adventures you can run there. I think there's a whole Lizard Man group out there, and there's Knowles, and there's the Church of the Big Game is there. There's a lot of really cool things. Great adventure.
so let me give you another. Let me give you another adventure.
Okay.
And this one, in my opinion, was one of the classics that will always go down. It's not on the wall because it was never published.
Right.
Amazons of the Crimson Moon.
Yes, that was a homegrown one, and you notice they came up again on Thursday night. I'm trying to bring them back. So, the Amazons of the Crimson Moon is a cult of females dedicated to the corruption of all men, and one of my Winchesters, Emerson, was corrupted by them, and David came back to the town of Rushford in Keelan and found out that Emerson was up to no good and just being debaucherous, and turned out that all the main women in that were all ex-girlfriends' names.
But what was the most important thing that came out of that adventure?
The Kularo
Poster?
What's that?
No.
The poster.
Of the guy on the wall.
Okay, the poster on the guy was all right. So we had a player named Garnett, and he's on and he was playing on and off and all, and he was okay, right? But his uncle, I even forget the uncle's name, but he was
Brian.
Brian, right? He was like a criminal. And he had this cheesy mustache, and he looked like a guy from the 70s. He looked like Leisure Suit Larry almost, right, with a mustache. So, and he had this ex-wife named Pam, and she was one of the Amazons of the Crimson Moon, and she was just like, and they're always schemers, and they're always trying to do things to beat the system and all. So there was the poster was on. It was on, I think, it was on like a freezer or something where they had body parts in or something, if I recall. And it just had a big picture of him with the cheesy mustache and that shit-eating grin on him, and it said, the motto said, "Everything I do because of you." So, yes, thank you for reminding me on that. Yeah, definitely a classic moment.
That was one of the classic ones. I mean, honestly, it's a degree. Because a lot of the older stuff it is that we actually did was, when you're younger, obviously you don't have as many responsibilities. And so as you get older, you have diverse things that draw you apart. And I think that's probably the whole strength of the campaign that we actually have, is that, I've played off and on for many years, and obviously being, sometimes close in proximity, and then many times, far away in proximity. And it's just something that I always come back to. That is it just reminds me of how much fun it is, and
yes,
and it's the camaraderie. Even about the game, it's just about the stories and so forth that we get to tell, and just the friendships that have been born throughout it. So
yeah, I mean it's the Thursday night with the guys is so huge to me. Just keeping it going. Like I said, it's been going for so long. It's just. I know I had a big bug up my behind last year when that Canadian guy, they said, "Oh, you got the longest game in existence," and that drove me a little berserk, right? Because they were like, "We got you by 2 years." So, I know I'm an egotistical SOB sometimes, but come on, it's part of the allure, right?
Yep.
So, but having the friendships and going, and you wish certain people would play more, and we won't name names, but we wish some of them would come back more and play more. Because you want their friendship to continue. But, some people have other things going on in life, but that's part of the game. It grows, it flows. We've had a very stable group. So let's discuss the two pictures of the keep below while we have some time still. Tell us about your character, Swain Markham, and this piece that we had someone custom make and for a reasonable price, too. So it's Swain's Tower. So go for it on that.
Yeah. So you mentioned before about the what we were calling the Cavalier School or the Cavalier site, which eventually became Altamira.
Yes.
And the thing about it was it was an understanding of three separate keeps that were making up the Cavalier site. That, one was round, one was square, and one was triangular.
Yep.
Pyramid, and they all handled like different types and different races of Cavaliers: humans, elves, and halflings. And I will say it was Walt that had said, you know what, Mark doesn't have a Cavalier in here to be part of this site. Let's figure out something maybe that he can do. And the character, obviously, that I said that I always liked the most, that I was Sling. He was, way back in the day when everybody played triple class characters. So he's, fighter, cleric, mage, and he's died and come back, many times.
Yes.
And some dances, but at any rate, he was a worshiper of Alana. And in the game, there's when the Unearthed Arcana came out, there was a magic item which was called the Quiver of Alana. And I started kind of putting my head to it. I said, you know what, it'd be really cool to design a vessel that was shaped like a quiver and that actually had arrows that were coming out of it. And so I kind of used that as the base, and I said, you know what, this is what I would really like to do. So in the actual center, where everything happens, I'd like to put his keep in there, where he'd have his fighter and his
smack dab in the middle of Altamira. Altamira's a big circle. We've never really gone over to that dimension, but it's big. I think we said a mile. I think it may be bigger than that, though.
Yeah.
But just smack dab in the middle is that keep. So.
Yep.
Yeah, and then at one point we just came across somebody that did some custom work.
I'll give him his props, even though the site's shut down now. Stellarian Games was it? And
really? I didn't know
he did some really nice stuff, and he said he'd do a custom, and I said, well, this is what we want to do, and he put together some drawings on it, and I was like, wow, man, that's fantastic. And it was an extremely reasonable price, and that's like one of our best custom made pieces ever,
Absolutely. Well, and I was kind of touched that it was something obviously for my character to do. And kudos to our own player Bill. I mean, Bill came up with some design patterns that were really surrounding this, and this turned out better than I could have ever even imagined. Just the graph papers that I have that have the actual design of what it looked like is nothing like this, and
it's
just amazing.
It went above and beyond, and I stressed to the guy who made it, I said, we need spots where I can put figures so we can actually use it, and there's a lot of little landings here and there and stuff, so it really works well, and it came shipping, and it came no damage. I was like, oh, thank God, but it was a fantastic piece, and like I said, it's one of our favorite pieces that we have on there. So let's do I missed one, and we got to go back to it already. This one is a homegrown of mine, and it was the second time I ran it. There are many unpleasant ways to die, number 2.
Well, unfortunately, I don't remember.
Don't.
Oh, don't read the book. I didn't realize that was part of it. I thought that was its own.
That was it.
All right, so give a little bit of an explanation. So one of our gaming sessions was just you, May, and Tim, and you had a nemesis that you were running who was called Macarash the Elf Mall.
Yes.
And Tim had a character that he named after, I want to say it was Xanth? Not the Xanth novel, but his character's name is
Myth. The Myth
from
series. Robert
Astor's. From the Myth series. And Skeeb was I think he was 18th at the time. He was like 918 or something ridiculous like that.
Right.
Or 20. He was 2018. He was a mage thief. And he had a robe of eyes. It was one of the last times that you actually allowed a robe of eyes to be used.
Oh, painful.
And Macarash came up to assassinate him. And even though the game never allowed it, but we always said that anytime you were hasted, it gave you 2 actions, double the amount of actions that you had. And so Tim, I give him credit, he was actually prepared for that moment and saw Macarash coming. He won initiative, and he cast Maze, no save, and then he cast imprisonment.
Yes.
And imprisonment, which was unbelievable. Well, then later we had started introducing some of the guys that I went to school with into the game, and I remember it was a Saturday afternoon. We were playing over at Wayne's house, and there was a very clear understanding. All we were supposed to do, this was the first time that Swain actually had a leadership role. And it was, don't read the book.
Yeah. Whatever you do.
That was the thing. You got to get this book. Whatever you do not read it. And so I remember distinctly that we were playing there, and ended up getting imprisoned in the same similar fashion.
Who did? You got cut out.
I said a couple of the characters.
A couple of the characters, yeah.
A couple of characters got imprisoned.
Yes, they did. Yes,
and so, and I remember distinctly that when this event occurred, that Swain was actually, he either wasn't in the room or he was knocked out. So he wasn't conscious. And they thought that they were being really smart. The book, and there was an evil priest that was there, and one of them grabbed the book and threw it to somebody else. And sure enough, and the priest said, "Oh, you'll never get your friends back unless you read it." And sure enough, cracked it open and they read it.
Yes.
And poof, the two characters that were imprisoned appeared.
Yeah.
And I just remembered the look on your face that you just gave me. And I looked up, and I just remember being extraordinarily sick to my stomach.
Yes.
And I go, did they just do what I think they just did? And you said, absolutely. I'm like, oh my God. And the first thing that ran in my mind is, Tim is going to kill me. That's all I could think. And he was away at college.
Yeah.
And I remember to this day the feeling that I was going to have to be the one to tell him that Macrash was let loose.
And he caused trouble, havoc for a number of years after that. So. Yep. And it was a lot of fun.
Oh, when he found out, he just absolutely lost.
He did, but it was worth every second, man. I mean, just the memories on that were just I knew that they were easily they were all worried about their own characters once again. We had a lot of players of that era that were, not self-sacrificing types or whatever, but they just went right for the bone, and definitely a classic. So we got a couple more minutes here. Let's. What do you think about what's going to happen in the future with everything? I know we're getting older, man. We're all approaching 50s. It's like.
I mean, unless like some kind of drastic life event happens, I mean, I can see us playing until our 80s and stuff. I mean,
if I can last that long.
The cool thing is I see some young players like your son and Bill's son that are starting to gain interest in it and stuff.
Yep.
I think obviously having the technology makes it that much easier. You can get people that I mean, in the years past when we had snowstorms, nobody could play. Now, I mean, after the technology, you can't even claim weather to be an issue because as long as you have a computer and a webcam.
Yeah, we had some people bitching about that though Thursday night, right? And the ones that shouldn't be,
Right.
So,
exactly.
Man, yeah. It's amazing how far the technology has come. I mean, I didn't think I'd ever be able to be doing this kind of stuff, and so easily too. It's great. Yeah. But you're correct. You're correct on that.
I think that there's going to be a lot of really good stories to come, honestly. And
good.
I really hope that. I've been rereading some of the 5th edition books only just because, that's what people are going to play. I mean, unless you get like older people like us that have played before, they're not going to, probably delve into the old stuff. But
right.
The cool thing is that Wizards of the Coast, I think, brought it back around an awful lot to what it was intended to be, and it was more of a role-playing game that you get people together. It's not a power struggle. It's not about anything but just going and becoming something that you know that you're not, but getting to explore things about yourself that you never knew. I frankly believe I heard this from Mike Greenberg from Mike, the old Mike and Mike, And I remember one morning I was listening on the way to work, and he was talking about how D&D really changed the lives of a lot of people, and really, it teaches you so much about like problem solving and just how to get along with other people, and you're not beating the hell out of them because you lost a point of Constitution, or I mean, just give you a way of dealing with life, and to a degree, and growing up with it, that was the other thing too. There was such a stigma about it that, oh my God, it's demon worshiping, and all you care about is casting spells, and
they killed Blackleaf. Remember that comic they used to put in the books? Man, I got that in digital somewhere. I'm gonna have to bring that out. That is so hysterical, But and you went to Baptist High and took grief.
Oh my God, absolutely. I mean, it was just crazy. And the fact of the matter is that people didn't understand what the game was really about.
No, they didn't.
And all they heard was that it was about, that had demons and devils in it, and it had spells, and oh my God, the whole world was just going to come crashing to an end. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is it goes back to what we deal with in human life, in my belief, every day, and that is really the struggle between good and evil at the end of it. Okay, and it teaches you an awful lot about how to deal with those types of situations.
That's why how many evil adventures have I run? 1 or 2 over 821 adventures, and that's it. Just they get out of hand. It's not where our ethos is in the game. So it's something that we want to keep on going the path we're going, and we've had a lot of dicey characters from time to time, which kind of throws a little flavor into it. But you have one of them. Alhana's that way. Yeah. When she killed the foxwoman child, that was one of the funniest things ever, man. That and the frickin' boggle. The boggle was chained. The boggle was chained to the wall, and you just went up and like I forget who the other two. There was only like 3 characters on that adventure because it was that prison. That rotating prison, and the other 2 characters looked at each other and they couldn't help but smirk and laugh because it was just a comical situation. Absolutely. And the foxwoman child, I remember, she went, "Mom," and that you just backstab her and critical her, and you basically there was some fun. It was just comedy, on that, but we just didn't get it that out of hand on running an evil campaign. It just wasn't.
Well, and I enforce it with my group here is that they get to run any evil characters, and some of them have questioned it. I said, look, I'm sorry, but that's not what the game is about.
No, it's not.
You get people that, unfortunately, you have somebody that will play an evil character, will screw over somebody else that's there, and all it causes is bad blood, and that's not what the game is intended to be.
Exactly. It's it's not I wouldn't say it's black and white, good, evil, good. I mean, there's a lot of gray shades in there, and you got some, but it's meant to generally be that to better things, and not to make them worse in the world, and that's where I think we've done a pretty good job on it. And we've held everyone's interest on it. It's been like I said, it's been a fun 38 years so far. So hopefully we'll have some more, and I'm looking forward to when you come in over here in June. Running this, I'm still working on it, and it's got I got some surprises for everyone in it, and just hopefully it's a couple good sessions, and then we'll see what we do in the off time. We'll do some other things too, but I'm really looking forward to that. And so, any other little tidbits you want to bring out, the memories or discuss?
Well, I mean, the biggest one probably is that no matter what, it's a game. At the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Okay? Don't take it so seriously. It's intended to be fun.
Yes.
We all have stories of things, like I said, you getting beat in the face with a pillow for killing off Alan's characters.
Yeah.
We all know the other stories that that went behind, some of the poor decision makings that happen, come down here to Wawa, I'll kick your ass,
Yeah, or that's it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we actually had one incident of physical violence during an adventure. We'll tell that story.
And you at the same time kind of acting like Joey Greco from Cheaters, just kind of egging it all on.
I know, it just was fit. But yeah, that was the one that, like, man, But he was uptight. He had issues at that time. The player, you know, then we had a couple other players recently. You know, back 20 years ago, had some didn't get along well with others, but you know that's in the past. You know, it's kind of evolved into the key grouping of players that we have now that are just all fantastic. You know, come up with ideas and enhance the game and add to it. And that's what we need. You know, just like we were talking about Bill's idea of a new first group. You know, we've never really developed that area of all those keeps there. You know, along the Jewel River in the Principality of Ulick. You know, we never really truly adventured there multiple times. Maybe a couple adventures here and there, but never had a group there. So I think it's a great idea. So we're going to work on developing that down the road. But that'll be group number 18. We have 17 adventuring groups. I looked at that. I was like, oh my god. I mean,
well,
it's just.
If you think about it, long before it was just everybody was part of the night. You know,
yeah,
and so you just ran whatever characters level that you had.
Yeah,
and then we got into more like distinct actual groups.
Yep, that's true.
You know, like the sex addicts. You know, like
yes. Now they're called the Reborn now. So, yeah, because we went back to that group because you know we had a test class that didn't kind of work out in that group. Yeah. But this one, in a couple weeks, it's open. You know, you got Knights of Ulick. You have eligible people from 2 other adventuring groups, the Legion, and it's called the Keep Group / Shieldlanders. So you're gonna have a whole mix of people in there, and people are. You know, I wanted it so early so I could tailor it around who was playing, and so. And we know 2 characters right now: David Gradavis and Ashley Winchester. Right?
Yep.
So that's we're going to definitely have in that, and I look forward to that. And this Thursday night we'll continue on with Adventure 8 and 121, a deal with Knuckle Paler, and then we're going to move into we'll do the Treasure Division all, and then I won't have time to set up the terrain, but we'll start the role play part of the next one, which will be a tale from Knuckle Paler. So hopefully, so we'll see. Yeah. We'll start in that one, and then we'll work that, and then the week after we'll finish that one up, and then the week after that you'll be here. So, well, Mark, thanks for making this Gabbin at Lord Peak's Haven, which incidentally is a great bar in Tringley that has a brew called Lord Peak Special, and if you drank 3 of them, you got a picture of yourself placed on their wall of fame. And you ever see the picture of the dogs with the pool table? It's kind of those kind of pictures, kind of those cheesy felt pictures. And if I recall correctly, 4 or 5 characters made it almost to that point, but all they passed out in the 3rd drink.
Yeah,
right. It was all the halflings and Lecter, the dark elf. They all passed out. They all made it to the 3rd one, but passed out. So that's where the name comes from. You know, just sitting in a nice little inn in Tringley, drinking and partying. But you know. We'll continue having some other people, and I really appreciate the memories, man. It was fun. So made the time go by fast. So thanks a lot, and I'll be talking with you soon. I'll talk to you on Thursday night.
All right, bud.
All right, talk to you soon.
See you.